Bring our Zoom. All right, so super excited. I get to have Brenda on today on our podcast. So Brenda, first of all, super grateful that you're on today. Thanks for making
Thank
some
you.
time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I mean, I love you, and I'm anytime I can get a chance to chat with you, I'm super excited about it. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. I'm super excited about what we're going to chat about too. So
Yeah.
if you kind of want to just kind of go in and kind of explain kind of a little bit about yourself and kind of what you do and how you're changing lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first off, I'm a mom. So I'm a mom of two. My daughter is 6, and my son is getting ready to be 4.
Mm.
My husband's a baseball coach, and my life is very similar to every other mom's out there, right? It's a constant shit show. I don't know what's going on half the days, but kind of through my own journey of becoming a mom and kind of becoming that wife that is supportive of my husband's career. I really lost track of myself. And in kind of hitting that, what I call mom rut or rock bottom for me with anxiety and postpartum depression, I found the ketogenic lifestyle. And in that, I found my passion for helping other women, for gratitude, for, developing a strategy that really fits you, because I think so many women try to cram themselves into these boxes that really has nothing to do with them or what makes them happy. So, through that, I started the Keto Dynasty Academy and started coaching other women for physical and mindset to just kind of like up level and really find that place and in themselves that really makes them happy and allows them to thrive in all aspects of their life. So all kinds of fun stuff, but that's kind of where it started, and it's just kind of grown from there.
Sure. Sure. So what was that original, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but what was that original kind of moment? And then did you have any like original excitement, and then you kind of got to a certain point and then you maybe fell back, or like what was kind of, how was that journey? Or have you just been all in
Oh,
the whole time from the beginning?
no, no, it has been a roller coaster.
Sure.
I don't think any journey is perfect. And I think that's a lot of times people strive for this perfection. And then when they don't have it, they quit.
Mm.
But my first 6 months doing keto was absolutely atrocious. Like, I was doing everything completely wrong. I was eating like just all the random stuff that you find on Pinterest that says it's keto. And I ended up hurting myself in the process. I screwed up my metabolism. I did a lot of things. But when I hit that block, I was like, okay, like something's not working. But I knew, because of how I felt before I started, I was like, that moment whenever I decided I had to do something was like something I didn't ever want to go back to. I was sitting on the couch watching my kids, and I get emotional when I talk about it, but I was just watching them, and I was like, I wasn't even there. Like, I was just so unhappy with me and my body and everything that was going on that I wasn't actually able to be present even with my kids. And it was going into my marriage and all kinds of other aspects. And I knew, like, after I failed the first time doing keto, that I knew that I had a choice to either figure it out or go back to where I was at. And I knew that it wasn't a choice I was willing to make, not only for me, but for my family. So I really just, at that point, that was one roadblock. I started just kind of trial and erroring my way through it and really kind of figured out a strategy that worked for me. Then I kind of started my business, and then I hit a roadblock in my business. It's like, I don't feel like, there's ever a time where you don't have roadblocks. I feel like roadblocks are something that really kind of makes you stronger and allows you to develop in multiple different ways. So it's definitely, like I said, my life is a shit show. So is this journey, shows everything. Like, I am very far from perfect. And I think that's kind of what a lot of women and even just men need to know, is that, there is no perfection in anything. So, whether it's a lifestyle change or a career change or marriage, whatever it is, there's going to be roadblocks and there's going to be shitty days. It's just being able to evaluate that, kind of look at where your mindset is and pick up the pieces, learn from it, and kind of continue. So that's kind of what I've just done in, all aspects of my journey, with myself, with my clients, with my business, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's great advice, because I think, a lot of people come into the idea of a lifestyle change, and they come into it with I'll do it until I. right? And then they reach
Absolutely.
that weight, they reach that goal, they reach that whatever the thing is that they set the goal based off of where they've been, not where they could actually go.
Hmm.
And then like people usually, this is the roller coaster, right? And everybody does it, right? In some way, shape, or form. But I think one thing that I really
Yep.
admire about you is you've been able to recognize it and then like develop some like clear habits to like catch yourself. Or even when you go on vacation, you say, you know what, like I'm not going to stress about drinking something or eating something, right?
Yeah.
Because you have so much confidence in your ability to stay disciplined, right?
Yeah.
And the confidence to be perfect and eat perfectly is a risky slope, or kind of a risky idea to have, but the idea of being confident in your discipline, and that's one thing I think you've done
Mhm.
super well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think, when it comes to any lifestyle change, you have to commit to it. There has to be a level of commitment there, no matter what you're doing. If you're just going into something saying, well, I'm going to give it a try and let's see,
Mm.
99% of the time, you're probably going to fail because you're not really committed. You're like, I'm just going to go through the motions and see if it's going to make me lose 10 pounds, or if I'm going to get a raise at work. Let's be honest. If you're just going through the motions, you're not going to get anywhere. And that's where a lot of people find these roadblocks is, and the same for me. And I'll catch myself doing it now. Like I go to the gym every day, but when I go to the gym and I've got done with the week, I'm like, I don't even remember really working out. Like, did I even really, it's just because I was just going through the motions. I wasn't really there. And that level of commitment and that level of mindset of being present at all times and really giving something your all, you know, goes into your lifestyle change, whatever you're doing. And, when I go on vacations, like I'm conscious of what I'm doing, but I also want to be in the moment with my kids and do some things. So, I went to Dolphin Island this year and I had alcohol. I kept all my food on track most of the time, but we went and had ice cream. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have ice cream. And a lot of people, when they first start keto, they can't do that. But as you gain that commitment and you gain that understanding of your mindset and your own triggers and all these things, you're able to say, okay, keto is my home. This is where I'm at. Sometimes I vacation and I'll have an ice cream, every once in a while. But, it's all based on commitment and your mindset and really what your goals are, right? Like, what do you want for yourself? And I know, when I feel best and what I want for myself long term. And I just always try to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's such a great point. And that's such a great analogy of home and vacation, and
Yeah.
people talk about 80-20 rule, and like that resonates with some people, but like we don't really we
Mm-hmm.
don't really live 80-20% in our brain. Like we're 100% us all
No.
the time. Right. So I love
Mm-hmm.
that analogy of
Yeah.
vacation, because like that makes so much sense, because you're in a different headspace when you're on vacation anyway. Right. And so
Oh, yeah.
that's such a good analogy. Hopefully I'm sure
Yeah.
that'll resonate with a lot of people. So especially over the summer,
Yeah.
I'm sure people took a vacation. They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like 51 weeks out
Oh,
of the
yeah.
year, I need to be,
Yeah. Right.
safe, right? So,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, can you kind of dive in just a little bit, obviously some introductory level as far as kind of what you actually do with your clients and kind of how you help them. And then I have like a second little follow-up question that I'm super intrigued to hear about your answer about this, but
Yeah.
tell a little bit about kind of what you do with them, and who is that client that you feel like has had the most success with you.
Yeah. So, my one-on-one coaching is I'm very picky, right? Like I only work with 5 clients a month. And that's because I want to be the person that I was looking for when I started my keto journey, right? Like I remember hiring a coach and I was thinking I was getting this one-on-one program, and whenever I had a question, they were going to be there and available. And that's just not what I got. And when I was developing my program, I'm like, okay, I want to be that person to lean on whenever someone is at rock bottom where I was, right? Like I was, sitting on the couch watching my kids and like just empty. And so many women are in that spot. They're going through these motions like we talk about, just going through the day, whether they get up in the morning, get their kids ready, take them to school, come back, and it's the same thing every single day. And they are not part of their day at all, right? They don't put anything into themselves. So my program is very one-on-one based. It's a big commitment because again, you need that commitment level to be successful. Everything is completely customized. And I feel like that is one of the biggest benefits to the program is that I'm not trying to cram them into these boxes, right? I honestly feel like our whole life is built around boxes. We're like built in this glass box that other people build for us, right? Like whether it's what we're conditioned to learn from our family or our job or whatever. And really, I want to help women like break out of that box, break out of like all these things that they're conditioned to think about themselves or the way they need to eat or whatever it is, and really change their mindset and their self-worth around what they're capable of. You know, and that's really what we focus on inside the program is yes, is losing fat and, you know, losing inches and doing all of these things. One of the goals, absolutely. But I'm a firm believer in that you have to make mindset and your strategy one of the top key players to be able to get to those goals, right? Those are those small little things we have to do on a daily basis to even be able to even start about changing body composition. So, you know, those are kind of all the things that really embody the program, you know, and that strategy, mindset, and accountability. And those are really the whole three things that I really focus on inside of the Keto Dynasty Academy.
Sure. Sure. And I know one thing, obviously I get the pleasure of getting to know you kind of on multiple levels, but as far as your gratitude practice, I know we've talked about that from time to time. And we tried to do a couple Facebook Lives about it a couple times.
I know. Yeah, we tried real hard, didn't we?
But kind of, you know, and just to kind of talk a little bit about that, just because I think, again, the science and the power behind gratitude in your journey and in the journey of your clients, you know, I'm just curious to see kind of how that plays a role, and whether it's journaling or gratitude, whatever it may be, just to kind of get that breath of self-awareness.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from practicing gratitude and practicing affirmations. Mm-hmm. I think the two of those things are like a dynamic duo, right? Like we can learn a lot about affirmations and really just how hard it is to kind of value ourselves and our, you know, what we see in the future. For me, like I always ask my clients, I want you to write your affirmation as if like you've already hit your goal and it's happening today, right? So, you know, that's how I ask my clients to do it. And a lot of times it's hard because they think of affirmations as, you know, I'm worthy. That's one of like typical affirmations. And that's great. But I'm like, okay, I want you to take it to the next level. Like I'm worthy of, I'm worthy of the pounds that I've lost. Setting it like you've already done it, and we're creating that vision and we're manifesting that. And the same with gratitude. You know, we go through the motions and we don't really think about the things that go into our day and the things that we have to be grateful for. We are so conditioned, again, that word conditioned, right? Mm-hmm. We're so conditioned to focus on the negative so much. And that's what we bring into our lives. That's what we bring into our energy. So when we can start off the day with focusing on, you know, creating that affirmation for ourselves and our future, and then also being present and being able to focus on the things that we have to be like so grateful for, then those two things come together and it's like, whew, like your whole day can shift, right? I mean, you know that. Yeah. So, you know, really, really finding that and sitting with it. And I think, and I tell my clients that we've been working a lot, you know, that we work a lot on mindset. And I'm like, when you're feeling some way, I want you to sit with it. I want you to think about it. And like, I want you, you know, most of everything that we feel is based on fear, right? And there's something that fear is protecting you from, whether it's, you know, something you don't want to happen or something you've had happen in the past that doesn't want to come back up. So it's like really sitting in that and really feeling it and then building off of that with your affirmations and your gratitude. But yeah, I do it every morning. I have my clients do it. We have a group that the ones who want to participate, share that stuff daily. You know, it's emotional. It really is. And it's kind of nice to be able to share those with someone else because inside of the program, everyone's going through a lot of the same things, right? And it's a lot of stuff people don't want to talk about. But then when you realize someone else is going through or has gone through the same thing you are, it's like I'm okay. Like this is going to be okay. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing to be part of that journey. You know, to have learned it for myself and now to be able to help kind of pass that on to other people it's just so amazing. I love it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think that's one of the things that I've enjoyed hearing you talk about the most is the joy that you get from the people that you're helping, you know, and just knowing that it's not just impacting what they're eating. It's not just impacting what they're weighing. It's impacting like them as a human, as a heart, as a soul, you know, and that's the thing that I love getting to see, you know, and I know you had it on your story the other day, just you getting emotional, having somebody talk about it, you know, and I think that's the thing is when other people realize, I think it almost affirms probably even more for as well with you, in the sense of what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing and why and what and all of that. And
Yeah.
it just makes you want to keep pouring into people, right? Because it is such an amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, like I feel like the physical aspect of this, do women going into the program obviously prioritize their body composition here. By the end of it, their mindset and their self-worth is here, and their their body composition's here. And just like this morning, I got a message from a client, and I get so emotional with this stuff. But it's like they find the love for themselves, like that they've lost, and they find that they're worthy of the time and the investment, and of putting themselves first. And that is so freaking powerful. And I don't think people realize that. And people don't realize they're lacking it until they really dig deep and they figure out really why they're at where they're at, whether it's, they're making the change because they're unhappy with their body, but why are you there? And there's a lot of things that go on because of that. But yeah, it is like, I struggle like everyone else with self-doubt and all of those things. And then I get these messages, and I get to talk to these women. I mean, doing my Zoom calls with them on their one-on-one check-ins is like the highlight of my week. Like, I love it. We get to chat. We get to like plan our next like move. We get to like strategize, and just being able to be part of that journey is seriously like incredible. It's like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I am so grateful for it. And it's just when you find that, there's just really, there's no words that, you can't explain it. You just know that's what you're supposed to be doing, and you just keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I tell you too, it's something that I've gotten to experience as well in my life with different things. And the, who we were, right, is so close all the time, because we've tried things, and then who we were came back, and then we've done this, and then who we were comes back. Right. And so I think the idea of celebrating progress and growth, like you talk about, I think that's the difference. Besides, are you at your ideal weight? Right. Because you've never have that sense. And this is something I learned, and this is part of my gratitude journey, but also my fitness journey, is in the sense of like being happy, satisfied, whatever word people want to use. Sometimes those are trigger words for people, but recognizing your own progress while you're working towards your goal will actually make you appreciate the goal as much as the journey, and actually you'll probably stay there longer, right? Do you find that too, that people actually don't sound as much?
Yeah, I think, the way I kind of express this with my clients is being happy where they're at, right? Like, we can't continually chase happiness. And to them, when they start the program, happiness is that goal weight.
Yeah.
They don't care about their mindset. They don't care about their control over food. They don't care about any of that. But as they find their own self-worth, and they find the value in those things, they realize that sitting right where you're at, no matter what your body looks like, what your life looks like, what shitty things happening to you, and just being grateful for what you have, and being happy with yourself, like internally, truly happy with yourself, that's what's going to carry you to every single goal that you want to get to, right? Like, if we're continually chasing these goals, and I did it, like, I want to lose 10 pounds. I lose 10 pounds. I'm not happy. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I did it. Now what, right? We can't live our life like that. And I think that's one of the things. And just like you said, it's, being able to find that happiness and that self-worth, and really feeling it in the moment, and not continually chasing something that's really honestly invisible. Like, never going to be there, right? It's just internally.
Yeah, well, I think one thing you touch on, and if you have some advice on this, just on goal setting in general, right? And not that you're ever dismissing a goal, but it's I think you maybe reshape the way that the goal is presented or thought of, right? And I think that's one thing that would help anybody in any industry whatsoever, even if it's just what time they wake up in the morning. I talk to people who, I wake up at 4, right? But there are people who wake up at 7 now, and then they try to wake up at 4 the next day and still go to bed at the same time, right? So I think, like, let's talk about goals, right? And so kind of shift that a little bit. So what are some things that you feel like, just in goal setting, that have made you so successful in what you're doing?
So I think one of them is being happy with, like I said, where I'm at. And I think I'm like a very visual person. I always think of like my goal as like a house sitting up on a hill, right? But ultimately, like, my goals that I do on a daily basis are the stepping stones that are going to get me there, right? So my goal setting isn't like, I want to lose 20 pounds. My goal setting is, I need to track my macros and I need to, you know, get my 15 minutes of non-negotiable workout time in. And that's my goals for the day. My goal isn't to lose 20 pounds. My goal is to consistently do these small things that are going to get me to my big goal. You know, and one of those things is priorities. I think priorities is a big word that people don't really understand. I think it's easy for people to say, I don't have time to do something. And as strong as it may sound, if you were to say, okay, if you're coming to me and say, I didn't have time to work out, I'm going to say, okay, how about you say it like working out wasn't a priority for me? Because that's ultimately what you're saying, right? If you want something, you're going to make time for it. That's it. You know what I mean? That's bottom line. You're going to make time for the things that are important to you. And I think that's one of the biggest things is a lot of women or anyone don't prioritize themselves. And for all my clients, my goal is that I say to them, okay, when you join this program, you have a non-negotiable, which means that every single day, 5 days a week, you're going to give yourself 20 minutes by yourself. And they know that coming in. And that is their non-negotiable. That is their time for themselves. And that's the time that we need to mentally focus and work on those small things that are ultimately going to take us to our big goal. So, you know, for, like you said, I get up early, I get my business done, and I do that stuff because I know that after that, like, my day's crazy. I have a 9 to 5, I got to get my kids, I got to do all that. So I know, like, in the beginning of the day, like, what I need to get done in order to, one, be sane and not go crazy because I'm constantly chasing something, right?
Yeah.
And two, get those non-negotiables in, you know, those things they're priority to me. That stuff's a priority, and I'm going to do exactly what I have to do with imperfect action. I think that's another thing. Like, you don't got to be perfect ever, like imperfect action. And I say that to every client. I'm like, don't stress so much on being perfect, right? When you stress so much on only taking action when you're perfect, you're ultimately never taking action. So imperfect action is what we're looking for on a consistent basis. And the steps just in or 2 months.
Yeah, will you say that thing that you one more? Oh, perfect timing for the pup.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're home.
You want to pause?
Ready to come in? Yeah, you can. Let's see what time it is. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so ultimately it just comes down to just taking imperfect action every single day and just working towards that 1% better. Once you've, continually gotten 1% better every single day, think about where you're going to be 1 month or 2 months or a year from now. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great point too, in the sense of celebrating moment by moment and daily progress, right? Kind of allows you to, a monthly or a daily goal a monthly goal, doesn't get accomplished if you don't do the daily goals, right? And so
exactly,
some simple stuff there. And one thing too that just kind of hit me a little bit, that resonated with me when you said it a couple times now, but the idea of taking time for yourself, people may call it selfish, right? But what I hear you actually saying more, like in hindsight, right, in the sense of your actual love for your family is benefiting from you taking time for yourself, because I'm sure you're more present with them now, and I'm sure you're more of the real you with them now. And so, like, giving people that freedom to, like, spend time on themselves so that they can be better for the people that they love the most.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest, like, I hate that women even think that taking time, and I feel like it's a lot of moms, right? Like, they think when they have kids, it's like their whole life should be consumed in their kids. And it's like, you can do that, but ultimately you're going to run yourself down to where you're not going to be present. You're going to be like I was. And, just like you said, when you're able, I literally go to the gym 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. Like, that's really not that much time, but that's all the time I need to, like, fill my cup so that I can fuel theirs whenever I get home, and I can do the things I need to do to be a good mom and be a good wife and all of those things. Because I just take that small amount of time. And it doesn't, I think a lot of people are like, it's not an hour. It doesn't have to be an hour. You can make it whatever you want. You just have to be present you have to be mindful, and you have to be consistent with it. And that's what's, you know, ultimately, again, that's what's going to start making those changes for you mentally and physically.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great point. And, you know, one thing that I think is super great about what you're doing, and again, you're helping people find themselves, not helping them change, right? Because so many people feel like they have to become something different, but it's actually, you're just helping them find their true selves again, which is super, super
Yeah.
powerful. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Yeah, no, and that's honestly one of the things that I've gotten to hear from people that even that you've done work with. You know, they're like, "Oh, thank goodness," but like if you bring out the best in people, right? And like if that's the only compliment we ever get in our lives, I think that's a pretty good,
Yeah.
right? In the sense of not changing people, not making people feel like they're not enough but just making them feel like they're already enough now. You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's, whoever's listening to this, like, you know, they are worthy of anything they want as they sit, right? Like, they don't have to work, like, they don't have to change anything about them to be able to do that. Like, they are worthy of everything that they want physically and mentally as they sit, and people don't think that. So yeah, that is like literally the best compliment anyone could give. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cause like I said, it's just my passion, and it's, you know, I honestly didn't realize, like, I'll be honest, when I started this, I didn't realize how much of this was going to impact me, right? Like, the mindset part of it and being part of these journeys of these other women, how much they actually helped me grow, and they helped me become a better coach, a better mom, a better person in general. Because it's, you know, there's something that we can all learn from everyone. Like, there's, you know, it's not that I just have something to give, it's that my clients have something for me to give. And I always feel like, or for me to get. And I always feel like there's a reason that I'm connected with everyone I am. Like, there's a reason they're in my life, and there's a reason we're having a conversation, and I want to get something out of it. And like, these women teach me so much. They really do. And, you know, it is so powerful. And I think that's why, like, I've been continuing to grow. And I feel like sometimes you have to kind of sit back and just be like, look at everything going on around you and be like, okay, take it in. Cause like, it is just, there's so much to be grateful for, right? It's super powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think the thing is too, like understanding, like everybody's goals don't have to be your goals. Right. And so that's one thing
Yeah.
that, you know, in the sense of like what success looks like. And, you know, and one thing that you always, always preach so much about, of which I appreciate about that, is like you say, be you, right? So like, is everyone going to have the goal to like be as fit and as lean as you, right? Maybe, right? But maybe
No.
not, right? But you necessarily feel like you have to attract that type of person who wants to be as lean and as fit as you are, right? And that's the cool thing about it, is like whatever makes them feel great is enough of a goal, right? Even if somebody just walk 1 mile a week, like just because your neighbor runs a 5K every day doesn't mean that your goals any more or any less, right? And so everybody's on their own journey, right? And I'm sure we've all talked about Instagram or social media versus reality, right? And some of these things, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of humility in all of this journey, right? In the sense of not everything's going to go perfectly, but it's just a matter of like, again, the thing that you touched on a lot of that I just am so inspired by is the mindset side of it, because that mindset goes with them everywhere, right? And it just continues to grow.
Absolutely.
And you want to share it because of how it impacts your life. And that's exactly what happened with you when you got into this. You got so you're like, oh my gosh, I have to tell people about this, right? You know, but like nobody really talks about the Atkins diet in the same way.
No.
And so like that's the thing I just like, I hope people hear, because like, granted, I've had the opportunity to kind of hear you talk a little bit about it, but just the difference between a nutritional plan and a lifestyle, you know, just because I don't necessarily want people to kind of walk into anything in their life, any change in their life thinking, oh, this is probably just like blank, right? Like how to like come to this with an open mind of, I'm not sure what this is, but I want to be curious. That's what I really want people to do.
Yeah. And I think, you know, with anything, if you're curious about something, I'm always like, okay, what do you have to lose? Like if you wanted to try keto, and you know, what do you have to lose by trying it? Probably nothing, right? The biggest thing is obviously with anything, just do your own research. You hit on it, you know, like you can't compare your journey to anyone else's. You can't think just because something didn't work or did work for someone else, that automatically means it is or isn't going to work for you. And then again, commit to it. You're never going to know if something's going to work if you don't have full commitment. I think that goes for anything, anything as far as lifestyle changes or job or whatever it is going on in your life. I think the hard part with the keto lifestyle that people have is what other people think, right? I think there's so much misconception around the ketogenic lifestyle and all of this kind of stuff that it's like they hear one part of information somewhere else and then they hear this and they just don't know what's true and what's not. I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. And I think, it's the same way with the ketogenic lifestyle. Obviously, I did it wrong for 6 months and I figured it out. And that's what, I want to help my clients avoid that trial and error, right? Like we want to get right to business. But, really, and sorry, I'm kind of getting off topic, but really with anything, whenever, you want to try something or you want to just change your lifestyle, it really is just making a best decision for you and your lifestyle, right? Like what fits you. And I think that's the biggest thing is so many people cram themselves into these diets and goes for keto, cram themselves in this box label keto and eat all the things that Pinterest says and use these macros that some website says, and then it doesn't work. And you're like, it's not going to work because it literally doesn't fit your lifestyle. If it's telling you to go cook 6 meals a day and spend 2 hours in the kitchen and you don't have that time and that doesn't fit you, it's going to fail, right? It's kind of, common sense when you break it down like that. And just a lot of people don't see that because they have that big goal in mind. They don't really think about all those small things that go in between it.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point. And, and again, that's where I think some people even stop before they even start, right? When they hear you can't eat this, right? They're like, well, I love that right now, right? And so all this is commitment and choices, right? In the sense of, are we committed to the lifestyle that we have more than the one that we want? And there's no shame, no pointing fingers, no judgment in any of that. It's just a self-acceptance of, if you're happy here, then be here. Don't wish for this, but want to live that, right? And so there's so many, like I talk a lot about just like the 1% life. Like everybody sees the Instagram and they see all those celebrities and they want to live that life, but then it's like the work required isn't as attractive. And so like one thing that's really beneficial for me is I've been more focused and more inspired by doing the work than I am the actual whatever the thing is on the other side of it, right? Because again, if you talk to every successful person, anything they do, the first thing when they say like, what has been the most fulfilling part, or what is the most fulfilling part, or how did you become, they talk about the journey. They talk about the daily things and how they become the person, and that they need to be in order to keep it, right? And so like Eric Thomas talks a lot about like having an opportunity and being ready, right? Is different than being ready and not having the opportunity, right? And so it's a matter of like kind of having that mindset of enjoying the process, as opposed to having it be such a sacrifice, and I know people talk about that from time to time as they talk about, I have to sacrifice something that I like to eat. So therefore it's like punishment to not, and like all of that journey, but again, I know you've already kind of touched on stuff, but I just, it resonates so much with me. So.
Oh yeah, that's so powerful. And I think another thing that a lot of people do is they almost predetermine their failure with something, right? Like, especially with lifestyle changes or weight loss, a lot of people have failed so many times that whenever they go into something, they're already almost really predetermining their own failure. They're like, like I'm going to give it a try, but I don't think it's going to work. And what's funny is some of my biggest clients are ones that said that to me, and they're like, this is my last ditch effort. And that's not really what I hear. It's my last ditch effort. Like I've done this, Atkins, Weight Watchers, like all of these things, and nothing has worked. And my question to them is like, okay, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you? If you're not at a 9 or a 10, then it's probably not the best choice for you. And then my next question to them is, can you be coachable, and can you be an action taker? If their answer is yes to both of them, we can change that predetermined failure. If it's not, then they have a little bit more, growing to do as far as really seeing that they need to commit to themselves to make the change. And I think, when you're talking about that a second ago, it kind of whenever I look at it from a standpoint of health and fitness, used to happening and used to having happen whenever they try to do anything,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's such a great point. And, and again, I think that's where you're going to meet a lot of people with that thought is you're going to meet a lot of people right where they are. Um,
Yep.
so if you, kind of putting you on the spot a little bit, if you maybe had one, maybe two, maybe three, whatever you have, kind of just fire starters or just maintain. So the follow-up thing I referenced earlier was maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
like not just the excitement and sugar high of trying something new, but like if you
Mm-hmm.
maybe had like just a couple of like do this consistently or do that consistently, and that people can kind of start to grab onto, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
again talking to somebody like yourself would be one of those things to kind of start with, but just in general, right? Just to kind of start to do some of these things or be successful in any goal they have for that matter.
Yeah, I would say evaluate your goals is one of the biggest things. Like really look at your goals and see what they are, and then prioritize them. I know we kind of talked about priorities a lot, and for me, it's really prioritizing my goals. Like I'm a big to-do list. Like I write down what I know I need to get done and the things that need to be done before the other ones get done first. And it's sometimes you can't do everything, right? So really doing that, and again, really kind of focusing inward and really kind of looking at what it is that you want out of what you're trying to get, right? What it is that you want. And right now it may be, health or fitness, or it may be a new job, or it may be something like that. But ultimately it's probably something else within that you're really kind of looking for, right? So really trying to develop that and really kind of like really take that time to learn about yourself and take that time for yourself. And then again, really find the people that support you. I feel like that's one of the biggest things is we compare ourselves so much to everyone else. And I actually posted this today on my Instagram. The only person you should be competing with should be your old self, right? Like your next level self. Sorry, not your old self, your next level self. So that's the only person you should be competing with. Don't worry about other people. Don't worry about what so-and-so is going to think of you. And I know that seems so easy to say, but it's so much harder to put into place because I've done it. Like I've been the person that said that, but never actually lived that, right? But now that I'm fully able to live like in being 100% okay with just being me, and no matter, if so-and-so doesn't like it or whatever, like it's okay. You're going to find your tribe. You're going to find the people that support you. You're going to find the people that you align with. And it's going to fuel you in so many ways. And I think that for a lot of people is one of the first things that they should look for, because having that support system and having those people who believe in you and have like-minded goals are, again, going to be able to kind of help you through your ups and downs, because we all have them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked.
Yeah.
And, I have a coach because I need a coach just as much as everyone else does, right? Yeah. So I think those are the three things: is really looking at your goals, prioritizing, what it is that's important to you and what you want out of it, and then really trying to just be 100% okay with being you and letting go of the people that you may not align with in that process and not comparing yourself with them.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those three things. I couldn't agree more. And, and again, I think that it obviously does match very well in health and fitness, but I think it's really just as a human, if you do those things, it's going to transform your journey on accomplishing any goal that you have. So I think that's great. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
So, and speaking of obviously finding you on social media, I get the chance to follow you. It's super awesome to see what you do every day.
Thank you.
Just because I know the listeners would benefit from it, do you mind just kind of sharing how people can connect with you and kind of learn more about what you're doing and just kind of be inspired by your journey too, and just find some way to connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Balancing Breland. Sorry. And Facebook is Keto Dynasty. And then my website is also ketodynasty.com. So they can find me. I'm on everything. So they shouldn't have a hard time finding me somewhere.
And if you can't find Brenda's stuff, just let me know. I'd be happy to get you all connected
Yeah.
the way I can.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. Well, Brenda, I'm super, super grateful for the time that you made to do this, and for teaching me some things even today too, kind of making me rethink things. So super grateful for you, for your friendship, and for all the ways that you're just transforming lives. You know, it's better than changing lives. You're transforming them because you're doing more than just teaching them how to do some simple things in life. You're teaching them how to do the foundational building blocks. And I just hope that you know that you're doing that every day. Whether you get
thank you.
Super grateful for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. You know that, and thank you for this opportunity. Anytime I can get to chat about my journey and hopefully just inspire someone else to start theirs, no matter what it is, it's absolutely worth every second, right? So I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.